Are you putting off using a sketchbook because you feel that every page has to look pretty? I'll show you some ideas to break free of that and to use your sketchbook to nourish your art practice. Hi there, I'm Janine. I'm an artist and I share my creative journey on this channel. I've never really had a consistent sketchbook practice because, like many artists, I get frustrated trying to create mini paintings in my sketchbook and then not loving the result. But I've realized that my painting process doesn't suit a sketchbook. I use a lot of layering and it takes a really long time for me to finish a painting. So I want to change the way I use sketchbooks to feed my art practice, rather than something I feel like I have to do alongside my standalone paintings. Let me show you how. I still don't really use my sketchbooks enough. I definitely use them for a lot of color mixing, and also if I got new materials and want to test those, so I'm pretty good with that. But I want to get a little bit more adventurous. I put together a few ideas of how I would like to use my sketchbooks in the future, or at least things that I want to try and see if I like that. So one note I've made is I want to make some more quick drawings, just like quick scribbles, possibly on location. I keep on feeling a pull to go outside and sketch there, but I haven't done that yet, so hopefully I'll try that out soon. Then I also would like to do a few more collage compositions. I actually made a video on collage, on black and white collage, that you can have a look at. I definitely want to do more of that, especially of like scrap pieces, and just put things together in a new way. And I've not been particularly precious with my sketchbooks, but I do want to use it more like a scrapbook. So where I just glue things in, write a lot of notes. I definitely want to write more, because often I look back at what I've done and I've got no idea how I did it or what I was thinking at the time. So I would like to write a little bit more of that down. Then, a bit like I've already been doing, I want to explore new ideas and techniques. But it'd be nice to do that a little bit more even. And another thing I could try is, instead of working directly in sketchbooks, using loose sheets, especially if I do go outside and draw on location, then I can just spread them out so they can dry and I don't have to take several sketchbooks out with me because I need to wait for a page to dry before I can use the next one. And then, yeah, bind them after. Once I have a stack of pages, I can bind them. And if there's something that really didn't work, I don't have to include that. So I think that could work really well. And obviously I can also use whatever type of paper I like, so I can combine different types of papers within one sketchbook. And I take so many photos when I'm out and about of things that I find interesting, things that inspire me, things that I want to go back at, and then I never ever look at them again. They're just lost on my phone forever. So I want to print a few more of those and stick those in as well, a bit like that scrapbook idea, and then make notes. So I'm going to try all these, fingers crossed I don't abandon this again. And I'll take you along. I did a few sketches in the park the other day, and I only took with me this tiny watercolour palette that I've, it's basically, I made it myself. It's a business card holder. I've added these little metal pans that are actually for cosmetics, I believe, and then stuck a magnet here, so I can remove them easily. This is a piece of palette paper that I've stuck on here to use as a palette. And here I have just got a selection of kind of primary colours. I don't have proper primary colours in my watercolour tubes, so just use the closest thing really. This is a, can't even remember what they are, but it's like a warmer goldy yellow. It's quite a muted red. This is I think a cobalt hue. Green, and pretty sure this is Naphthalene Maroon by Daniel Smith, and Buff Titanium. It's like a dark purpley colour. And off-white, which works really well for landscapes actually, on the go. And then I have this water brush. I always hated water brushes, but I do quite like them for traveling or just doing quick sketches because I don't have to get a water jar out, obviously, but it's very hard to control, which is why I don't like them. And then I just have this water-soluble black pencil, which is a Goldfarbe by Faber-Castell. And this is a tiny A6 sketchbook. It's heavier than I wanted to be, but obviously much lighter than any larger sketchbook. And it's Moleskine. I'll show you on the screen some of the footage. I didn't film very much because I find it really awkward to, first of all, to paint in public spaces, and then also to film. I don't quite have the confidence to do that yet. So this is a very rough, abstract kind of sketch of the park. And that was kind of with the horizon line and the trees in the background. And that was looking up into the tree. They're really awful, but I had fun doing it. And that's all that matters to me when I work in a sketchbook. So hopefully I'll do some more of that in the future. These are a bunch of failed paintings that I've chopped up. I cut out the bits that I still liked. So I've got a whole pile here. Too much to ever work through. But I thought I could use those to make some collages in my sketchbook. So I already found these two that I thought work really well together. At least the colours do. And they're quite different in marks. So I think I'm going to chop this bit off. And then I've got a bunch of jelly prints too. I want something different to the orange. That could work actually. Maybe. Or this purpley colour. It's got a different edge, which will make it a bit more interesting. I'll just start gluing and see what happens. For the thinner paper, I can just use a glue stick. For the thicker one, I'm going to use PVA glue. Just super cheap stuff because it's only in my sketchbook. Probably wouldn't have put these colours together myself, but that's exactly what I wanted to do this more collaging for, because you make some unpredictable connections, whereas when I paint I often choose my colours intentionally. I'll leave that. That's just a simple one. Let's do another one. Let's see what we got here. Oh, maybe something like that. It's quite interesting. Yeah, start sticking that down. And then I think I want some solid colour as well. Oh, what about just a touch of this? I think that's quite good for a start. You'll have seen in the previous video where I painted a load of pieces on a large sheet and then cut them up. So I stuck those in here and took some notes on what I like about them, because I really would like to take more notes in my sketchbook. So there's a few of those, and then in another video you'll have seen me stick these in. I had a box full of old failed paintings or just sketches that I did that I didn't want to really keep anymore. So I went through those. So I sorted through those, and these are a few where I liked something about it. So I want to take some notes for future reference. For example, here I like the very loose marks of the blue, and also how the paint hasn't quite mixed on the brush. And also here this layering of, or shifted layering. Yeah, really like the colours together. Same here. And here I like the little tiny dotty marks that almost look a bit like Impressionism. And here I quite like the, not really the stripiness, but the, I don't know, something about the composition of this. And also that it's got different marks, like this here and this, and also these lines. Here I also like that you can see the paper texture through. Over here I just really like the simplicity and the scraped marks that gave the texture. Again, I like the colours, just the difference of marks. Here it's scraped into the paint. Here that looks like it's on top. And then this is a very different texture, and then more of a solid piece, and it's got a transparent area here. Here I guess I kind of like the composition and the more neutral colours. Here I like how it's all blended together and it's got a punch of a colour. Here I just liked quite a few marks in here, especially this one is quite unusual. I don't really do things like that. And here, probably again the simplicity in colour and also the boldness of this dark shape. Here, I think this is a watercolour actually, and I really like the watercolour quality of how the edge is actually darker. It's very difficult to see on camera, but the edge is darker than the actual stroke. So I really like this orange shape. Here I quite like the difference of this soft area and then these really defined marks. And here I kind of like the simplicity of the composition and, well, the simplicity of the whole piece really. I still managed to have some variation of marks. I want to experiment with this colour shaper a bit more. I haven't used it a lot, but whenever I have, I did really enjoy using it. It's basically got a silicone tip, kind of like a wedge. They come in different shapes and not cheap actually. This one's a cup chisel, number 6. I don't know if you can see that, it's very small writing. Anyway, I'll put it in the description below. So I want to experiment what I can do with it really. I've got a few paints that I've pre-mixed ages ago, like this murky light green, which I really like actually, browny or greenish brown. This is a kind of beige, and that's not pre-mixed, that's just raw sienna. Obviously do the wide way, and then you can also, what I previously like, scrape it back on with this tool. And then you can use just the corner to make a thinner line. And then there's this top edge. It's not very different from the thinner line. But you can vary it quite a lot because it goes very thin. And also this wide way, I guess. You can have a lot of different line thicknesses. But I quite enjoy also scraping it back on. What if I water it down a bit more first? I like that. So it kind of goes back in. Let's use a different colour. I'm really just playing with the tool, and therefore without figuring out. I love this where it's half on one colour or the background and then half on the other colour, and also is a mark in itself obviously going into this area. So it obviously works better in thicker paint, but I do still like the marks it does make in more liquid paint. It's a lot more subtle, you can see here. The layering is really what gives this an interesting effect, at least to me. Reminds me a bit of calligraphy. And that's all I can fit on this page, but I might continue exploring anyway. It feels so much more freeing when I'm not trying to create a painting, but just explore the medium, which means it's a lot more fun. I'm literally just playing with the materials. And hereby discovering new things I can use in my art. And then of course I need to remember to take some notes.
If you like this video, consider subscribing.
I really enjoy working with wet media, so I wanted to try working a little bit more with ink, which I don't do very much. And because that takes a long time to dry, I want to work on separate sheets, so I can put one aside and then let it dry while I work on the next one, which I couldn't do in a book unless I work in lots of different books, which sometimes I do. But I thought this might be easier, so I'm going to give this a try. I have a few A6 sized ones and a few A4, so I'm just going to experiment with different sizes, see what I like, and then once I have a bunch of each size, I'm going to bind them together into a little mini sketchbook. I'm doing this way or this way? Let's start this way. These are a few photos that I've taken as inspiration, or artworks that I liked. For example, this was from an exhibition in Paris. Or this is a print that my aunt has on her wall. That's a painting I used to make. Or that's a painting I've made, but don't have anymore. Then just shots from being on holiday, interesting things, other art that I found inspiring, and just the view from my balcony, which I love. So I'm going to stick those in my sketchbook and maybe take some notes of why I've chosen them, what I like about them, and turn this into a bit more of a scrapbook. I hope there are some ideas that you want to try yourself. And I hope that if you are stuck, it encourages you not to take your sketchbook too seriously. I previously made a video where I bought supplies for my sketchbook, and you can watch that up here. Thanks, and bye-bye. Somebody woke up!